Well, hello everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of the Metaworld News. This is a program where we look at social worlds, virtual reality, human-computer interfacing, a few little highlights with a special focus on social virtual worlds. My name is Mal Burns. I'm also joined by James Atloud, who's multitasking on our cameras here. So say hello to James.
Hello, Mel.
And for those of you who are watching us live, you may realise that this is a second attempt at getting us going again. This is happening every week. We're about 2 minutes into the show, and then bang, the good old internet goes down, which is very, very unusual here, but nevertheless, it's been happening. So the gremlins are at work. I think somebody's just got it in for our show, but yeah, I can't quite figure out how to get hold of my hardware. Anyway, as I said, my name is Mal Burns. You can find me on Twitter at twitter.com/Malburns, all one word, in fact, Malburns. And we have an additional Twitter feed at twitter.com/MetaWorldNews. Once again, all one word. And that one's more concerned with the social VR stuff. Okay, now to get down to nitty gritty, I'm racing along like a hot potato or something at the moment. I sort of want to get it all done before there's any chance of going offline again.
Yeah.
That's what they call a speed freak or a motor mouth or something like that. Right, let's get with it. You might have heard of a chap called Stephen Hawking, world-renowned, lesser abled, of course, physicist, and he's got VR experience, which has taken us on a tour of the universe. It's Black Holes Immersive Experience, which was announced by the UK production house Atlantic Productions, and they were working extensively with Stephen Hawking before his death, which was good, March 18. It's nearly a year ago he
Oh
passed.
my. Yeah.
This is a location-based experience that would include narration from Hawking itself, and due for release early 2020, which makes me wonder why it really don't know, it really qualifies as news at the moment, except that it tells us it's happening. So, enough of that. Look forward to that, of course. Um, next link goes to digitalbodies.net. And I should say, yeah, uploadvr.com. That's all one word. Uploadvr.com is where you'll find the Stephen Hawking item. Digitalbodies.net. VR and AI. AI is artificial intelligence. Soft skills training raises fascinating questions. Yes, indeed. Questions. Don't we love them? Yeah, basically, this is all about training and new skills and stuff like that. And obviously, it features VR in the mix there. Quite a bit of reading. You can see me scrolling, but information article more than anything else. So that's at digitalbodies.net. Um, Dreamscapes the Blue. This is a post at uploadvr.com again. Deep Rescue, a tranquil VR experience. So if you like immersion and just laid back kind of stuff, this could be rather interesting. Again, it's not a social world or anything like that. It's just an immersive environment, if you like. Looks quite nice from what we can see of the pictures here. And oh yes, okay. I know why. There's another reason I put this up. There's interesting things going on here. You walk into this experience and there's about 6 seats or something like that, and you actually have to book for it. I mean, if you imagine you're going to Open Sim or High Fidelity or somewhere to an event, and in fact, High Fidelity do this with their Egyptian tomb thing. You book in advance and they let a limited number of people in at a time, and then they actually take you on the tour. And this is actually the same here, and I think this is out of home. So um, yeah, they went along here to review it, and there was an employee, who took them through putting on the headsets and footprints on the ground, handed our size. The system calibrated their avatars, and yeah, quite a lot of work involved here. Anyway, read all more about that at Upload VR. Um, moving on. New World Notes. This is nwn.blogs.com, and it's Hamlet Orr's blog. He used to be an embedded journalist with Linden Labs and Second Life back in the day, and he now covers various other worlds too, particularly high fidelity and science space. Um, he has an article here from Tuesday, March the 5th. Non Euclidean curved space simulated in virtual reality. Okay, all I can say about this is, apart from the fact it's fascinating per se, is that it kind of hard to display. Imagine you look at a drawing on 2D piece of paper or a painting or something, and you use various tricks to actually create the illusion of three dimensions. Though it takes virtual worlds and modern technology to actually enter a three-dimensional space. But if you then take the three-dimensional space and then think, well, how can I paint or describe a fourth dimension, if you see what I mean. Given you're in an environment where the three dimensions are taken for granted, what can you do with things like curved space? Now, um, this is the sort of this is about as every man uh, stuff as figuring out where black holes go once you've fallen into them. It's a bit of speculation involved, but basically there's Henry Siegerman, who's doing all this and has done some of it in both Second Life and stuff, um, is a mathematician, basically. And he's been building what is called brain melting virtual world simulations for over a decade. And in fact, VR experience that simulates non-Euclidean negatively curved space. In other words, kind of like what space is like near a black hole. Anyway, I'm not even going to try and explain more about that, but it's rather interesting. So
Yeah.
hop along to nwn.blogs.com if you want to know more about that, including the links as to where you can find more about it and some videos too. Touch wood, I'm probably better not trying to play videos today. But there we go.
Mm.
Right. Okay. Now we're coming to a different site from the mainstream. This is a site we stumbled across called Geeky Gimp. Yes, indeed. G double EKYGIMP. Geeky Gimp, all one word. .com. And the post is called Accessing VR Don't Leave Disabled People Behind. And it's pretty much what it's about here. Um, it's not so much about virtual worlds. It's also, as such, it's talking. It's only a short article, really, more about the hardware and the devices and sort of basically you know um, obviously much is made of the empowerment for lesser able people that virtuality brings. But also, this is a bit more cautionary, saying, we don't just run away with virtuality. Consider people's disabilities and things at the same time.
Well,
Interesting.
that's already gone out of the. That horse has left the. What do you call it? What's the phrase?
Oh,
Uh,
left the barn or
has left the
stable or
barn, right?
building or no, Elvis has left the building. No, that's another thing entirely, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I say that because I wear corrective lenses, and I'm not a contact lens person, and so
Yeah.
the VR headsets are not very well accommodating to people who need corrective vision if you're not wearing a contact lens.
Okay, so be pretty useful for me, I should suspect as
Yeah, so
well.
I'm a little
Yeah, it's
blurry when I'm in those headsets.
there are some headsets though that have actual prescription lenses,
hmm
aren't there? Um,
Perhaps. I know some of the augmented reality glasses have talked about that.
yeah.
Yep.
I suppose
Yep.
it's the old case of buying something off the shelf.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you're not careful, if you're left-handed and not careful, you buy something that's for right-handed people because it's the default on the shelf.
That's right.
Or if
Indeed.
you're buying computer software and buy off Microsoft, for some reason the default is left-handed, which is pretty awkward for us right-handed people.
Yep.
But there we go, you know.
So
But
I'm just pointing that out. I'm not going to start a lawsuit or anything, but
yeah,
just
no,
making
no,
a note.
I absolutely agree. I mean, maybe as you say, the horse is bolted, and the article comes a bit late. But the more people, uh, you know,
Yep.
raise these things. I mean, it does talk about an Xbox adaptive controller here, which is a move to
Oh
making
yeah,
consoles more accessible. And
that's a fun one.
yeah, I guess this is this is console stuff, really, isn't it? I mean, I don't know really. I mean, I can imagine. I know that when it comes to accessing buildings and things like that in the UK here, certainly there's actually government legislation that requires, with very few exceptions, everybody to provide disabled access, wheelchair access, for
Mhm.
example,
Mhm.
or signage for people who can't see well and well, braille, I suppose, or something like that. So there are legal requirements, but I imagine if there aren't any legal requirements for something, then companies are really going to go for the lowest common denominator. And
Yes. Right.
if if there is a significant minority that fits in their demographic, then they will maybe address it. Um, let's say there was research that proved that people in wheelchairs loved using virtual reality because they could travel around at high speed, like they were cycling through the countryside or something like that.
Mhm.
And they actually knew that that demographic accounted for 30 or 40% of their sales, then you would expect them to address it because it will be an important part of their sales. But if it's just product for product's sake, it's probably going to be lowest common denominator. And um, if I don't know, headsets are a funny thing, like the glasses. If you could just adjust them, even if it's a minor adjustment for near and far sighted and focusing.
Yeah.
I think somebody who comes up with that additional stuff will, make a bit of headway.
Mhm.
And coming up in a minute, in fact, where is it? I think it's coming up actually. There was some news about Apple's
Mm.
progress in this
Mhm.
field at the moment. Their AR glasses
Right.
in the week. I think the article's coming up in. Oh yes, the article's coming up in a minute. So
Okay.
we'll
Good.
move on from that. Okay. So anyway, Geeky Gimp is the site you want to. GeekyGimp.com is where you want to go for that little article. And well, we were talking about this off air before it came on. The Sci-Fi Channel. This is an America now cable or something channel anyway, spelled SYFY. They're going to debut a multi-narrative AR VR experience at SXSW, which is sort of coming up shortly if it hasn't already come up actually. I haven't had time to go through them yet, but I noticed there was a kind of keynote kind of film from Neil Gaiman online this morning, and maybe I think it's from SXSW. Um, I'm not quite sure. I'm not in America, so I'm not quite sure the dates these things happen. But uh, anyway, this is a VR thing set on an island planet in which an extinction level event is just 11 minutes and 11 seconds away. And you spend the experience learning the stories behind a group of internet characters as they await their inevitable death. Oh, this sounds really depressing, doesn't it? Oh, 11-minute VR experience where you get into the minds of characters who are awaiting their destruction in 11 minutes. Dear me, what's up there? Very optimistic, I'm sure. Okay, so you'll find that little post at vrscout.com. That's VR, the letters, and then scout as in Boy Scouts, but all one word, so vrscout.com. Moving on, and more VR with, of course, Doctor Who, but also Doctor Who Bonfire, more VR movies debut at Tribeca 2019. This is an American film festival, I guess, and The immersive lineup for this year's show was revealed this week, containing more than 30 experiences, many of which were shown for the first time at the festival, including Doctor Who Runaway, which includes the current Doctor Jodie Whittaker in voicing it, and oh well, various other stuff too. Um, I think there's been another post actually with their full agenda on it too. So if you go to uploadvr.com anyway, if you want to know more, I noticed that there's a blue link here which will take you to the full lineup by the look of it. Okay, moving on. Um, roadtovr.com. A couple of days ago, this from March the 8th, Tactical Haptics. It's got a nice little ring to it, hasn't it? Somebody should call a band Tactical Haptics. Anyway, Tactical Haptics are to bring production ready haptic VR controllers to GDC, which is the Games Developers Conference 2019. And once again, I haven't a clue when it's in San Francisco, but oh yeah, later this month. Okay, fine. All these conferences happen at once as a rule, don't they?
Mhm. Mhm.
Reactive Grip is a haptic control that relies on third-party positional tracking standards such as Oculus Touch or Steam VR or OptiTrack. And they've actually moved from consumer space to focus on VR location-based entertainment, in other words, out of the home. And they'll be having something up at the South Hall booth by the look of it. And they'll be taking appointments in the North Hall. Yes, well, fine if you're going to whatever this thing is, Game Developers Conference. Um, but anyway, it's the photo there is some kind of early prototype. This is really industrial strength haptics, really. That just makes it look like some workman in a factory is meant to be holding that. It does it if you see the picture on screen. It certainly
Mhm.
doesn't look like a very domestic controller to me, but obviously, this high-end stuff has its purpose, especially in industry. So anyway, read more about that at roadtovr.com. Right, now this is the one I was on about. This came out. There's always rumors about what on earth is happening with Apple's things, but this variations of this article appeared in several different places, and it's still the probably, but probably is more significant than possibly, or something. But anyway, most people are reckoning that the Apples are going to come out with some kind of AR glasses near the end of this year or early next year. And well, if you go to uploadvr.com, you can read all about this. But the again, that looks a bit like a Magic Leap in that picture. There is not
Mhm.
kind of apples. Well, I think I'm more inclined to go with the one you see at the side here, which is Enreal's thing. But what I found interesting about this is that it's almost certainly, like the Apple Watch, it's going to be something that you really only can use as an extension of your iPhone. In other words, all the processing and stuff for these glasses and whatever will be presumably done in the iPhone. And basically, the glasses will simply be a viewing product that gives you, an external viewing device for your iPhone, a bit the same way as your headphones are an external listening device and your watch is an external notification device. So this of course sounds very typical of Apple. I mean, you don't want or really need to buy an Apple Watch unless you have an iPhone because the two sort of go hand in hand. Just as Apple's new earbuds, the wireless or whatever, they're designed to work with the iPhone. They probably work with other things if you rig them, but so everything is sort of in this sort of ecosystem. Yeah, my only worry about that, of course, is that um, I suppose it will be like all Apple products. Apple fans will be racing to get it as part of their Apple ecosystem kit. But ultimately, it will probably be the Samsungs and other people of the world that end up copying the product for the greater market, much as they do with, copying the iPhone, to slightly cheaper price or slightly different, sort of a There's no doubt that Apple innovated, but they don't have the unique product for too long. And but what I do like about it is I've often said that I just like the idea of a fold out pair of glasses that I take out of my pocket, maybe plug into the phone or whatever, and just use as a viewing device. Um, I don't want a headset with its own processor and all the contraptions there when I've got a rather powerful mobile phone in my pocket that can do the job for me. So I found that kind of interesting there, actually. So upload VR is where you want to go for that article. Mentioned in several other places, but I thought that was the most rational sort of analysis. Right, digitalbodies.net, another post from them. An expanding VR program at the Tribeca Film Festival. Ah, right. Is there any reason? Ah, yes. Sorry. This is pretty much the same news as I gave you in the other post a minute ago. The only difference here at digitalbodies.net is they actually, as you can see, they give you a roundup of the actual films in and a little bit more information about all the entries. Quite a long list here, as you can see as I'm scrolling down. Um, yeah, loads, and loads of stuff debuting there. Okay, so find that at digitalbodies.net. Back to Road to VR again. Valve psychologist to explore brain-computer interface research at GDC. This is the Game Developers Conference yet again. The principal experimental psychologist from Valve, a chap called Michael Ambinder, will present the latest research pertaining to brain-computer interfaces using using signals from the brain as a computer outlet. Um, he says it is speculative technology. Really, right? But it could play an important part in the way players interact with games of the future. So, yep, it's going to be all brain power at GDC, clearly. And yeah, that does seem to be it for the Malburn's feed.
Hmm.
I'm just going to click here on Metaworld News's feed, and I think we've got a few things here. Right, this is from yesterday. This is in a social world called Alt Space. It doesn't have the most fantastic avatars or anything, but it was, of course, Women's Day or Women's Week or Woman's Day. Sounds like a radio program, doesn't it? Woman's Hour.
Mm-hmm.
No, basically, it's all been women this week. And on Monday, March the 11th, which, by the way, is tomorrow, whatever time zone you're in, they're having a Women in VR meetup in Old Space VR. As another blog actually pointed out to me recently, I mean, um, Allspace VR has an incredibly good record about, astounding numbers of meetings left, right, and centre. I mean, as a social venue for meeting up and everything from the trivial to the quite serious, it's probably one of the leading, venues, much more so than VR Chat, OpenSim, or Hyperdeity, or any of the other ones. It suffers, from not exactly the greatest avatars and things like that, but um, it's all obvious to me. It's not really a perfect venue for these events by a long reach, but it has been very successful in holding them and getting people to log in or at least attempt to log in. So anyway, this is 6:30 p.m. in the UK, which I guess is about 10. Yeah, if you're on the west coast in USA, that would be 10:30 in the morning. And women in VR meetup. So yeah, if you're out there and you're a woman, I presume men are allowed in too. You can if you go. Well, I'll tell you where we are first. We're at account dot altvr.com. So that's account dot and then altvr or one word .com. And you can do /events and it will give you an index page for all the events too. And as you can see, you can RSVP or you can easily add it to your own calendar from here and everything else. So a little plug on that one there. Right. Now talking of more things, Altspace VR yet again. This is a post from RyanSchultz.com, his blog. Um, he blogs quite a lot on open worlds and stuff, but also Second Life. And he does usually manage to cover a little bit of absolutely everything new, even if it's stuff that is clearly on a hiding to nowhere. Um, but this is last week anyway. There was the launch of a new weekly talk show in Altspace VR again, and let me see. Jesse Diamani is an emerging technology journalist for publications like Forbes and VR Scout website we just mentioned for a couple of links. And he's got this weekly talk show that's just started called Tech Talk. Yeah, well, it takes all kinds. Tech talk indeed. Tech talk. Who knows? Who knows? Anyway, that is happening in Altspace VR. Um, I'm not. I think it's a weekly show. Yes, yes, the weekly show. Next Monday, which I guess is tomorrow, Jesse will have a guest called Nancy Baker Cahill, is a multidisciplinary artist and founder of Fourth Wall, a free augmented reality app. So that's actually the one that's happening tomorrow. Um, again, RyanSchultz.com has this article, but there's no actual link to tell you where to actually go for the location of the talk. So I would suggest you go to the previous link, which was um, oldvr.com events where it will be listed too, and you can get the details from there. Um, okay, let's put that one away again. Right, Metaworld, here we are. Oh, Art Blue and Juliet's I have this ongoing thing, the first biennial 2018 of OpenSim. River Pearl at a blog called Million Happy Endings here. In fact, millionhappyendings dot all one word dot wordpress.com. River is actually posting extensive review of this, and she's now got to part six. I think part one was about November last year, so
Hmm.
every couple of weeks there's another part. It's just sort of an illustrated blog, with pictures of our Blue and Juliet's event, which was held in Open Simulators platform, of course. Right. What else have we got here? Oh, This is another for Hamlet's Oars blog. New World Notes, nwn .blogs.com. Um, this is an open world. Now, this is not a social world. You can't meet anybody in this thing, but it certainly has the looks. You kind of role play as a paint. It's puzzling because I love games like Myst and stuff like this. Apparently, you really are alone in this world, but you kind of paint it as you go. Seems to be the idea.
Hmm.
Um, and you've only got to look at some of the pictures from this. Let's see what I can do with that video. Um, okay, you probably can't hear much
Yeah,
of
the audio
this,
is
but
very quiet.
yeah, but I figure I'm just scrolling through, and yeah, there's an example of the graphics in there. Um, so a lot's been built there for you, though. As I say, it's not strictly a game. It's more of a kind of adventure environment kind of thing. I don't know. It does remind me of Myst. In fact, it reminds me most of the Myst 5, which I've been re-looking at recently. Anyway, we don't
Hmm.
want to take up playing somebody else's video there. Anyway, you can check out that at nwn.blogs.com. It's called East Shade, and I was quite impressed by that. You can only get it on Steam at the moment, so
Hmm.
unless you actually have a Steam account and are happy with Steam, you probably somebody's giggling there. I want to avoid that. Okay,
The
Ryan
happy with
Schultz.
Steam part.
The happy mistake part, yeah, fair enough. Okay, Ryan Schultz again, ryanschultz.com. This is ryanschultz.com. You can see the name in full up there. He had another post in the week about art galleries in social VR and virtual worlds, an overview. There are so many, it's unbelievable. In Second Life alone, there's probably 1,000 different art galleries, so it's very hard to know how to round that up. There are groups like the one he's mentioned here in there. Um, uh, yep, and more Second Life, of course. OpenSim, he basically just sends you to OpenSim's world, the directory service. I gather Ryan I don't think he's ever been into OpenSim. So, Occupy White Walls. I covered this some time ago. I'm actually in their Discord group, and I do actually have the client loaded somewhere. This is actually a sort of virtual world that looks, it's very new wave meshy and clean. A bit of that sine wave kind of look. Um, but basically, everybody gets a big box, which is their own space, and it's designed for artists. That big box is a gallery, so you put your own paintings on the walls, and then you can get more and more spaces you need it, and then you can build gates to other people's galleries. So you can get. I think people can get to it on the web too, so you can get people to come and look at your gallery of your work and then you have doors in there that will take you. It's a bit like a blog roll on the blog. You just you can put a door that will lead to another artist's friend's gallery. Um, there's not much in this world for anybody other than artists. But of course, if you want to look at various artists' work and just wander around a world full of art galleries, then why not? And of course, if you are an artist, then there's the community element of shared galleries and things. So yeah, I quite like Occupy White Walks, but only because I'm very into art and it's a very specific thing. Sansar, that's a new um, thing um, that Linden Labs, who made Second Life, do these days, and that apparently is home to many art galleries too. Um, I don't have much success with that platform, so I can't speak for those. And obviously, High Fidelity has a number of different art galleries in it too. And as does VR Chat, you wouldn't call the avatars in there art, but you might find some of the things on the wall to be art. And yep, I don't know who Travel Agent M83 is. I should actually click on that and uh, I'm going to click on that just for the hell of it. Well, it didn't happen, did it? Okay, he's apparently a good art journalist to follow. Oh, there we are. Travel agent M38. Well, nice picture. Where's the, that's quite neatly. Oh, there he is. That's travel agent. Um, citizen of all social VR universes. Okay, okay. I must have missed this when I saw the article. So I'm actually going to quickly add that to my speed dial. I will go back to it later to sort it all out. Right. Okay. And where are we? March the 1st, Open Sim Festival begins tomorrow. No, no, no. That's old. That's old news, that is. Okay. Well, I think that's it for our little setup now. So I'll just put these things away and in fact, I'll just go back to a wonderful screensaver. Okay, so James, thoughts, comments, anything else on that lot?
Um, no, nothing in particular. It's always exciting to hear that Apple is making some steps to augmented reality. So I enjoy seeing the news stories about that.
Yes, yes. I mean, the emphasis, I think, that, as I said, was there've been endless speculations about what is possible from Apple, but
Hmm.
this is the first time we've heard something that is probable from Apple. Next, hopefully, we'll hear about something that is actual from Apple.
Right, and a lot of that's based on patents
It
and
is,
yep.
yes. We're always getting sneak previews of Apple patents,
Hmm.
actually. And the trouble is, usually by the time we get a preview of them, the patent office has approved them or whatever, they would have actually been filed several years ago in some occasions. So, and, particularly, well, many companies, but particularly Apple, may well actually have a patent on something that they end up not using. But they
Yeah.
patented at some point in time, so they've got that patent if they end up using that. So yeah, they've. Um, I love seeing some of the schematics that go with these patents because half of them look almost the same. Oh, there's a pair of
Mm-hmm.
glasses and there's a little arrow and that's optics and that's a thing for the ear and that's that, and I can't actually tell the difference between them. But they all seem to be getting patents for variations of the same thing. So go figure. But yes, I presume there's some, the schematics are probably only a fractional part of the equation. The documentation is probably far more explicit.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think we're done for this week, and fingers crossed I can get away with closing the show before before
Yeah.
we have another crash.
Everything seems
We we
present. Green bars on
we
the
held
voice. Yep.
we held up. I think starting next week we'll probably go on air for about 2 minutes with this show as a dummy run, so that we can crash everything that's going to be crashed,
Mm.
and then restart it. 10 minutes later as the real thing. This might be a good strategy. I don't know. Anyway, yes. So we'll be back next week with another round of headlines and stuff like that. So it's goodbye from him.
And it's goodbye from him.
In other words, it's goodbye from the two of us. Until next week, that is, the same time, same place. And yes, same time, which will be for next 3 weeks. It's going to be an hour earlier for me, but over there in the US, it's the same time. It's
Yeah. Yep.
11 a.m. on a Sunday morning when we're live. But you will watch us in replay anyway, so who really cares? Bye for now.